Happening now, severe weather is on the horizon with the threat of high winds, heavy rain, hail, and even a slight tornado risk. Our First Defense weather team is live tracking the storm. And an update on talks to bring Amtrak passenger rail service to Chautauqua County. Plus, fire survivors return home. A look at the condition of two young children who narrowly escaped flames in a fatal Sherman blaze.
Live, and this is WNY News Now.
Thanks for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. This is a live look over Chautauqua Lake near Lakewood as we are getting ready for the possibility of some strong to severe storms today. Of course, our team is tracking it all. Let's get to the experts. Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter joining us with what we're looking at over the last 5 hours, Dakota, as things are starting to build.
Yeah, so right now we are dry right now across the southern tier of northwestern Pennsylvania. There's no rain to speak of right now, but we are going to be seeing the initiation of severe thunderstorms through the afternoon hours. So the Storm Prediction Center maintains this enhanced risk, a level 3 out of 5 for basically much of the southern tier. Once you work towards the Lake Erie shoreline, you're still under that slight risk, but the chance for severe storms across the Lake Erie shoreline is lower because of what's called a lake breeze. A wind coming off the lake could ultimately keep some of the Lake Erie shoreline protected. The main issue with these storms is really going to be strong damaging winds. We're under a 30% damaging wind risk for today. Then the tornado risk. This is the other thing that's the other piece. It's a 5% tornado risk, which is still relatively low, but the same thing we talked about yesterday, modeling has been trying to push these storms more cellular. So if they break out from a line, that could ultimately cause some rotation to form within these storms. So all modes of severe weather are possible today when it comes to large hail, damaging wind, and also flooding. We're under a marginal risk for flash flooding basically across the eastern southern tier today. So just make sure you have a way of getting warnings. It's a two-way system, your smartphone and a NOAA weather radio. Make sure you have them both today to get watches and warnings. So it's hot with tropical humidity today, partly sunny. Severe storms fire across the afternoon. We're looking at a 2 to 6 p.m. time frame, 83 to 90, and it will be breezy as well. Now, once we get through with this, we do see a cool down coming our way. We'll talk about it in detail with that Ultimate Satellite Solutions 7-day forecast later on in the show, Justin.
Yeah, absolutely, Dakota. And of course, as you mentioned, make sure you have a good way to stay in the know and stay with us here on WNY News Now as we'll continue to provide updates throughout the afternoon. To News Now, and Dunkirk police are seeking public tips following a stabbing this week. The law enforcement agency reports a subject who was not identified was stabbed in the chest overnight Sunday. Responding officers located the victim hours later, around 5:30 in the morning, in the area of East 4th Street and Park Avenue. The subject was then transported via stat medical helicopter to a trauma center. Since then, they are listed in stable condition. Anyone with information on this incident is urged to contact Dunkirk Police. That's 716-366-2266. And a dozen people were arrested yesterday in two separate drug raids in Jamestown South Side. Jamestown Police's Metro Drug Task Force and the Chautauqua County Sheriff's narcotics investigators simultaneously executed search warrants at 47 Charles Street and 15 Coden Place. Inside the Charles Street address, investigators allegedly recovered money, fentanyl, methamphetamine, scales, packaging materials, and a loaded 9mm pistol reportedly stolen from Texas. Meanwhile, at the Coden Place house, a search of the residence also allegedly recovered illicit drugs and evidence of drug trafficking. Among those arrested include Anthony Cunningham, who faces the most charges out of the bunch. A list of the 11 others charged now posted at WNYNewsNow.com. Local leaders and stakeholders met this week to discuss plans to develop a new Amtrak station here in Chautauqua County. Our Julia Grass has an update on the project.
Over a year ago, Amtrak reached out to the town of Westfield about the possibility of opening a station in the area. Tuesday, this idea took another step forward when County Executive P.J. Wendell met with stakeholders and other officials to discuss the viability of the project.
And one of the statements made yesterday was that the state would support and get behind and push whatever the county decided was the right place. And, yes, we want service in Chautauqua County, whether it's Dunkirk or Westfield, and that needs to be, fleshed out.
The ability to open a train station in the area is not just up to local officials, however. Amtrak must also come to an agreement with CSX, who owns the physical railroad, to expand out to the region.
And that's important when we look at, increasing, the tourism and the possibility of people coming into Chautauqua County.
The city of Dunkirk plans to fund a study to determine the viability of hosting a stop in the area, which also gives the opportunity for an unbiased third party to determine which location would be most feasible.
As you know, skyrocketing gas prices are really crippling the economy. We're hoping that it doesn't impact us, as we've been saying for now 2 years. The regional travel is going to be imperative for Chautauqua County as we get into our tourism season. The hopes are that continues. Now, you put a rail stop in either Westfield or Dunkirk. Now you're coming in from Cleveland, Chicago. They can take a train, come into Westfield or Dunkirk.
While the funding for the new station should be solely through Amtrak, further costs may have to be taken on by the locality.
If a train station is in either place, the employment or the person running that station would be funded locally. So there will be an aspect of local funding that would take place. Now, whether it's county, if it's in the village or town of Westfield, would they absorb that cost? We just don't know yet.
Julia Gress, WNY News Now.
If granted a new rail stop, the county will work with the revamped CART system to increase bus availability in the area. For example, new trolleys to transport people between popular destinations should arrive by the end of August. 2 children who suffered burns in a fatal Sherman fire earlier this year will be welcomed home tonight after spending months in the hospital. Hundreds are expected to line Main Street in Sherman to welcome home Miles and Eliane Mann Taylor, who narrowly escaped flames during a January fire at their West Main Street home. The heroic actions of Ellie, who was trapped in an upstairs bedroom with her brothers Miles and Watson, are credited with saving the life of young Miles when she coaxed him to a window to jump out. She was then forced to jump herself as flames grew. However, not everyone escaped the blaze. 1-year-old Watson Taylor was unable to escape and subsequently passed away. For months, both Ellie and Miles underwent treatment at a Pittsburgh area hospital. After being released, the family of now 6 returns to Sherman tonight at 6 o'clock. Anyone in the community is welcome to line Main Street in a sign of support for them. Now, firefighters say that blaze was caused by electrical issues outside of the home. This was the second house fire that family experienced. 3 years ago, their Pennsylvania home was also destroyed by flames. As we continue this next half hour, an update in a serious Amish buggy hit-and-run crash in Cataract County. And later, with heat on the brain, info you need to know about how to keep your homes cool without hiking up that power bill. Stay with us. WNY News Now. We'll be right back.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
On June 24th and July 22nd this year, there will be 2 fireworks shows as part of the 4 events at Russell Dietrich Jr. Park to assist those that may be sensitive to the noise from the fireworks, whether it be an individual or a child or even a pet. If you email us at ccsolution716@gmail.com, we have some headphones and a calming blanket for a pet for anybody within a 2-block radius of Dietrich Park.
Eaglezip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Extension Eaglezip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as network for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer plus a 2-year warranty. Call eaglezip.com today.
Stop by eaglezip.com today and let us make computers for you.
Catch your first defense forecast daily on WNY News Now.
What is going on, my New York friends? My understanding is that you're in school for a little bit longer than most people, but I got some good news for you. We're September 10th in Jamestown, New York, with me at 7 o'clock at the Reglena Theater, and you can get your tickets at reglena.com, REGLENNA.com. Make sure that you grab those now. It's going to be so much fun. Jamestown, New York, September 10th. Come and have fun with me.
What could you lose in a home fire? Your possessions? Your home? Your memories? Don't let your world go up in smoke. Make sure you have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones, because fire is everyone's fight.
This message was brought to you by the Jamestown Fire Department and the Chautauqua Safety Village.
Whatever it matters. This is WNY News Now.
Charges are pending against a driver involved in a hit-and-run crash last week with an Amish buggy in Cataract County. The sheriff's office there says the crash happened last Wednesday on Pigeon Valley Road in the town of Napoli. Deputies report that 2 people were taken to the hospital with injuries, an adult male and a young female. That child was flown via Stat Medevac to Oshai Children's Hospital and suffered serious injuries. Deputies were able to later locate the suspect vehicle at a residence. As of today, the accident remains under investigation with charges pending. And the white man who opened fire and killed 10 black people at a Buffalo supermarket last month is due in federal court today, a day after Attorney General Merrick Garland met with the victims' families and announced hate crime charges that could bring the death penalty. 18-year-old Peyton Grengen had been held without bail since his arrest shortly after the May 14th attack at the Tops Friendly supermarket, which also left 3 people wounded. He is scheduled to appear in U.S. District Court on criminal complaint charging him with 10 counts each of hate crimes, resulting in the death and using a firearm to commit murder. The complaint also includes 3 counts each of hate crimes involving bodily injury and attempt to kill, and using a firearm in a violent crime. The federal hate crimes case is based partly on documents in which Grengen detailed his plans for that attack, including the semi-automatic rifle he would use, clothing and body armor he would wear, and a portable camera that would allow him to stream that massacre live on the internet. High temperatures are setting in. It's more important to find a good place to cool off. Erie News Now's Kristen Allen is hearing from electric providers in our region about ways to keep your home nice and cool without running up that energy bill.
The heat is on, but keeping cool will come with a cost. The Pennsylvania Utility Commission alerted consumers to a sharp increase going into effect earlier this month, meaning energy prices for Penelec are up about 35%.
We can't control the weather. You'll be flirting with the 90s here in a couple days for a couple days up in Erie, so it's important to do what we can.
Todd Myers of First Energy Corps says there's a lot you can do to keep your electric bill down and beat the heat, starting with your thermostat.
You want to get to a place where you're comfortable. For every degree that you can actually stand it a little bit higher, you can save about 3% on your electric bills.
Fans use much less electricity and can help keep it cool too.
Use either a ceiling fan or if you don't have a ceiling fan where you're going to be situated, get a box fan. That fan uses less electricity. That moving air, cools the air over your skin, so it makes you feel more comfortable.
And perhaps one of the best ways to keep your energy bill low this week is to get outside and safely enjoy the hot weather. Just don't forget to turn your thermostat up before you leave home.
I think a lot of people may turn their air conditioner on maybe a little bit too high. They might crank it a little bit too much, or they might run out of the house to do errands and not think about switching the setting.
The good news is Penelec says they've proactively taken a look at their equipment and don't expect the upcoming heat to take their power grids down. Kristen Allen, Erie News Now.
A candidate seeking election to the U.S. Senate in New York made a campaign stop in the southern tier yesterday. Republican Joe Pinion spoke with local businesses and community leaders in Elmira as he visited Elmira City Hall and later made a stop in the downtown grind in Elmira. He hopes to address issues surrounding child poverty and crime in urban areas throughout New York State.
Those are just undeniable realities, the untold stories of the pain and suffering people all across this state are dealing with, right? And so the thesis for our campaign has been, if you are unhappy with the world as it is today, you cannot vote for the architects who built it.
Now, being the only Republican on the ballot, Pinion will face off in New York's general election against Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer come November 8th. Coming up, a look at the push in Washington to provide some real relief to American consumers amid rising inflation. And later, Jamestown High School's band concert makes its return to the outdoors after being put on hold due to the pandemic. But first, when we come back, a full look at our weather forecast and the threat of severe storms today. Stay with us.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
Celebrate the end of school and say hello to summer with a day of fun activities for children in the Jamestown area. Hosted by Collaborative Children's Solutions and the City of Jamestown. The first part of the day happens at the Northwest Arena as we ring in summer vacation with a party featuring snacks, music, and more. In addition, several groups will be on hand speaking with both kids and parents about the plethora of activities available to keep our youth occupied. Then later in the evening, finish out the home run day with a night of fun at the baseball game, along with a fireworks show at Junior Park. As a PE teacher, I know the importance of keeping kids busy this summer, so stop on down on Friday, June 24th, end of school, and say hello to summer. You can learn more online at ccsolutions716.com and watch for updates on the Collaborative Children's Solutions Facebook page.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
Fast, accurate, and everyday. First Defense Weather.
Welcome back, everybody. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get right into it. This is a live look from the Chautauqua Lake Association Skycam, and we are starting to see a few clouds dotting the sky, and that could actually help us this afternoon to possibly help keep the severe weather risk low. Now, we do have a heat advisory in place for Chautauqua County. This runs until 6 o'clock tonight, and this is for the chance for heat indices likely reaching 95 to 100 degrees. In fact, here's the maximum forecast heat indices through the afternoon. You can see we're getting close to that heat advisory criteria. 94 should be the peak heat index here in town, and 95 in Corey. So again, you know, the heat index combines the air temperature plus the humidity together. The more closer together the humidity is to the air temperature, the more sticky it feels. In fact, here's the current conditions at the airport: 82. But look at that dew point at 73. That is tropical. So that creates a heat index of 87. That's what it feels like when you step outside right now. So yes, today will be the last day of that. But the same thing we talked about, we are still watching this afternoon for a chance for strong to severe thunderstorms. We are still under this enhanced risk, a level 3 out of 5, from basically a line that goes from, I'd say, pretty much that eastern part of Crawford County all the way up to the Rochester metro area. That's that orange shade. Then a level 2 out of 5 for the Lake Erie shoreline. The same thing we talked about during first weather. Basically, all modes of severe weather are possible here in terms of strong damaging winds, some very large hail as well. We're talking large hail could be upwards of 2-inch in diameter. That is possible today, and an isolated tornado or two is possible. The timing looks between 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Really not much change in the timing. We're thinking that should be the initiation time for some of the strongest activity. So it's good to remind you that if we do have a tornado tornado warning where you need to go. So a basement is the safe place, but if you don't have that, a small interior room on the lowest floor near the center away from windows. That will keep you safe from a tornado. And of course, if we have a tornado warning, we'll be on the air with coverage should that warrant. But here's what's going on right now. We have a warm front that has pushed through, so all that warm air continues surging in, but all this activity sparking across the Niagara Peninsula is sparked out ahead of that cold front, and that front's moving through tonight. So the newest run of the high-resolution future scan shows you the initiation of these storms. And you know, the same thing we had talked about on social media last night, how these storms are trying to become more cellular in nature. So if the storms are cellular and not in a line, that could ultimately increase the tornado potential a little bit. So that is something we will have to keep an eye on. Those storms move eastward, then it starts to clear out for the overnight hours. Then as the cold front moves through, it turns much more cooler and more comfortable for the day on Friday. And you are really going to love the day that comes up on Friday with partial sunshine. In fact, here's the next 7 days powered by Ultimate Satellite Solutions. Well, maybe it'll come up. And we will going to be talking about a dry weekend coming up, temperatures down into the lower 60s. Then it looks like, Justin, the heat and the humidity will return by the time we go into Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. We're dealing with more humidity with temperatures in the 80s once again.
All right, Dakota, if we can work that out, we'll get another look at that 7-day coming up before the end of the show. Some national headlines now, and former Vice President Mike Pence will be the central focus of the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th siege on the U.S. Capitol. That's according to committee aides, who says today's hearing will say then President Donald Trump's campaign against Pence had a direct influence on the violence that erupted on the Capitol. Some of the rioters on that fateful day were recorded repeatedly chanting, "Hang Mike Pence." The hearing is expected to feature new documents and materials about what Pence did on January 6th, and then what happened after the Capitol had to evacuate. Now, Pence will not directly appear at the hearing today. Some attention will also be given towards Trump's lawyer, John Eastman, whose theory said Pence could overturn the election from Joe Biden to Trump. Well, we know that families across the nation, including right here at home, are impacted by the rising costs of food and gas prices. And some local congressional members are pointing the finger at President Biden's agricultural policies for those rising costs. Congressman Glenn Thompson, who is the ranking member on the Agricultural Committee, sent a letter to Biden with an outline of what the administration can do to help farmers, which will ultimately help families. With the backing of the Republican members on the Ag Committee, Rep. Thompson introduced a bill that essentially pushes back on several of the Biden administration's ag policies, and they say it would cut back aggressive regulation. The bill would block a recently proposed Security and Exchange Commission rule, which requires farmers to track and report climate disclosures by public companies. They say the majority of farmers do not have time nor the resources to do this. The bill would allow them to create certain policies to suspend under the EPA rule. Members say it would give producers more tools to protect their crops and pets. The Federal Reserve has raised interest rates once again this year, and this time by more than half of a percentage point. The stakes for U.S. economies and for American consumers is high. So how will that impact you and me? Cole Higgins takes a closer look.
Taking aggressive action to help tame historic inflation.
I do not expect moves of this size to be common.
For the first time since 1994, the Federal Reserve raising interest rates by a remarkable 0.75 of a percentage point. Chairman Jerome Powell making the announcement following the Fed's policy meeting Wednesday.
This continues our approach of expeditiously moving our policy rate up to more normal levels, and it will help ensure that longer-term inflation expectations remain well anchored at 2%.
The move comes after May's hotter than expected inflation report and Wall Street's growing call for tough action from the Fed to keep prices under control.
My colleagues and I are acutely aware that high inflation imposes significant hardship, especially on those least able to meet the higher costs of essentials like food, housing, and transportation.
But that strong response to help the economy has some economists worried. Former Fed Chair Ben Bernanke cautioning future financial conditions are hard to forecast.
I think a recession is possible. Economists are very bad at predicting recessions, but I think the Fed has a decent chance, a reasonable chance of achieving what Jay Powell calls a softish landing, either no recession or a very mild recession to bring inflation down.
Financial experts say higher interest rates could be felt widely when it comes to consumer borrowing, from credit cards and mortgages to car loans. For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Cole Higgins.
Next, an outdoor concert featuring students from Jamestown High School to center stage at Allen Park. We have students and the musicians next.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
Slow down, and move over.
Move over.
When you see signs,
Lights,
Vests.
please give us some room.
Slow down.
slow down and move over. When you need help,
It's our job
To help you.
to save you.
despite the danger, danger is real.
Do your part.
Please.
Slow down. Slow down. And move over.
I don't think that many kids in my son's school even do it.
He makes fun of his friend who vapes.
He would never try it.
She's into soccer.
She's on the honor roll.
She's just not the type.
No way.
No way.
No way.
No way, my kid would never vape.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping. Maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
Visit the Northwest Arena on Friday, June 24th, as we celebrate the end of school and say hello to summer. Learn about activities available to youth in the Jamestown area, plus end the night with fireworks, the Tarp Skunks game. Learn more online at ccsolutions716.com.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
Jamestown High School held a special outdoor concert yesterday after 2 years with no performance. Jamestown's concert in Allen Park was pretty much a hit among the crowd, despite the warm temps. Our Alyssa Wright shares the story.
I feel like being outside with this certain group of people, there were a lot of kids, there was a lot of distractions, but I feel like that just made it more fun tonight.
For some, this was their first time performing outside due to the restrictions caused by the COVID-19 pandemic.
I mean, this was my first ever concert in the park. I mean, I was in the concert band my sophomore year. We never got to do it because of COVID. Never got to do it, but this year it was really nice to finally be able to do it. And I mean, it's first and the last, but it was nice.
There was a wide range of instruments played, and the audience was even treated to 2 vocalists.
It's been the best thing that I've ever done, ever. It's been amazing. I couldn't ask for a better group of people or a better program.
For many students, music has been a part of their lives for a long time, and they hope to make it a part of their lives for even longer.
I've been playing in band, here for 4 years, and then in middle school for another 3, so roughly 7-8 years.
I started with alto saxophone in 5th grade. In 6th grade, I moved to tenor saxophone, and this year I moved to bari sax. It's something that I want as a part of me my entire life.
I love music. It's something I always wanted. When I go off to college, I won't be majoring in it, but I do hope to minor in it, and I hope to just keep doing it throughout my whole life.
Alyssa Wright, WNY News Now.
Alyssa, thank you very much. Great to see those kids out there and dressed up even amid the heat. And that's one of the big things that I know we were talking about earlier, Dakota, is after today's severe storm risk, hopefully temps will be evening out a little bit more.
Yes, there will be at least some brief relief from the heat. So the Ultimate Satellite Solution 7-day looks like this. So Friday we turn drier, 75, much cooler for Saturday, 64. Father's Day looking nice, partly to mostly sunny, 69. Juneteenth, we may bring in a few showers in the afternoon, but Tuesday and Wednesday, that's when the heat and the humidity will return again, and we bring in a chance for a few scattered showers. It's summer, Justin.
Yeah, definitely. Enjoy it while we got it, right? That's the phrase, maybe. Thank you, Dakota.
If you like the heat and the humidity.
And as we mentioned, we'll continue to track these storms throughout the afternoon and bring updates here for you. But for now, we'll leave you with this live look over Randolph. Have a wonderful day.